everybody, welcome back to Vlogmas Day 2. So I'm doing Vlogmas the whole month of December, hopefully. So I'm going to be doing tutorials, and in this video I will be doing a Q&A for you guys. So I know I have not been the best with responding to messages on my YouTube videos, so I thought, hey, why not crank out my old laptop here and go through your questions. So yeah, let's just get started. And if you guys have any questions for future Q&A, please feel free to leave a comment down below. All right, so let's go to our first question. So this question is asking, is there any conversion chart for Isacord to candle? So this was on my review of the candle embroidery thread, and I did mention that they have a conversion chart for Madeira. And luckily they do have a conversion chart as well for Isacord. So they have conversion charts for all of these. They have Madeira, Gunold, Isacord, Pantone, and Robinson Anton. So I think those are all very popular embroidery thread companies, I guess. So yes, they do have a conversion chart for Isacord that's recently been updated since I posted that last video. So thank you for that question. So I did get another question about how Mighty Hoops works and getting the right settings. So if you're new here, I have the Ricoma MT1501 embroidery machine. It's a 15 needle. And yes, I do use Mighty Hoops as well, which I do have a link down below if you're interested in purchasing Mighty Hoops for your embroidery machine. So to get the right settings for it, there are some arrow keys that you can use to move your design. If you're using Mighty Hoops and you realize your design is too big, there is actually a minimizing feature that you can use right on the Ricoma to minimize your design, which I'll probably post in a future video because I think that would be helpful for a lot of you guys. So for other embroidery machines, at least for the buy, I heard that you can input the size for your hoops that you're using versus the Ricoma where they actually have pre-built hoops, like the hoops that they provide, like they have A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth. And those are based on the Mighty or the Ricoma hoops that are provided for you. So I would probably select the hoop closest to whatever size you're doing. And then, like I said, if you notice that your needle, always do trace. If you notice that your needle is hitting the Mighty hoop, I would minimize your design. If it's way too big, I would minimize by at least 95%, but if it's just a little small, maybe minimize it to be 98%. So it's always going to be at 100% for the design. So 100% is basically the size you imported. And when you decrease it to 98%, for example, it'll shrink by 2% of the length, I guess, and width of the design that you put on your Ricoma. So that's kind of what I recommend for that. I have a question about how much tulle I use in my tutus. I'm probably going to do a tutorial on that as well, kind of with my measurements and everything. I pretty much been using Cindy Moncada's size chart that she uses, but I add a few extra inches just so the length of tulle is longer. I actually had an issue with the customer that said it was too short because their child's undergarments were showing. So I now increase my the length of my tutus by 4 inches. So it's 2 inches longer on all sides. But yes, I'll definitely provide you guys with that information once I post a tutorial. So Trina also is a popular viewer on my channel. So hi Trina, thank you so much for watching my videos. She had a few questions on one of my Etsy shop order lives. So when I say I'm behind on orders, I usually am not late on my orders, but I like to get my orders out as soon as possible. I usually like to have a few orders to work on. So I'll work on a batch of 3 or 4 orders, get those shipped out, work on the next batch. It just helps with my productivity, and then I'm not constantly in my craft room all the time, so I can have some days off. So when it comes to Etsy, she also asked, do you only have a few days for each order? So when it comes to running an Etsy shop, you can actually add your processing times. So what that means is that once somebody places an order, you have a certain amount of days to ship out their order. So for example, I have mine set to 5 to 7 business days. So what that means is that on the 7th business day, that is when I should be shipping out that order. Also, something important to note is I do have rush fees for my Etsy shop, especially during the busy times, which for me is back to school. I have a lot of people making last minute orders, and then I have other orders on top of that, and it can get kind of crazy. So if people generally want to purchase, you know, whatever you're offering, then they're going to be willing to pay that rush fee. And also another thing, I do offer shipping upgrades. So once somebody places an order for me, for example, if they place it first class, but they need it within a few days, then they can pay for the rush fee for sure. And then also they can upgrade to priority mail express shipping. So how I have that handled is that it'll add like they'll have to pay like, let's say $5 extra for priority mail shipping. That's usually what I have for that. For priority mail express, I usually think I have it at like $15 or $20. That way it'll add up to, you know, if they place an order now, for example, if they place an order and the shipping is $10 typically for priority mail express or priority mail, but they paid for first class, which is $5. That's why I have an extra $5 fee for priority mail. So if they already placed an order for first class shipping, then they can just upgrade to priority mail and I don't get any money out of my pocket. So that's kind of a tip that I recommend for that if you're thinking of starting up an Etsy shop. So somebody asked me what kind of heat press I have. I have the 2C heat press machine. So it's a 15 by 15 inch heat press. I just got it from Amazon. I got it 2 years ago, actually. Yeah, pretty much 2 years ago, right before I moved into my apartment, because it was around Black Friday, and it's past Black Friday, so it's been over 2 years. So it's about $200. I have not had any issues with this heat press, and yeah, it works great, so thank you. I also have a question from my single needle flatbread embroidery machine. So my brother NQ1600E, somebody asked if my machine would be capable of embroidering hats. I do know that there is a kind of like a hat hoop that you can purchase. So it has like a part where you can put the bill of the hat underneath it, so you can embroider the hat. I'm gonna look into seeing how cheap that is, and if it's cheap, then maybe I'll purchase one and show you guys how to embroider with that. But yes, you can embroider hats. You just have to kind of maneuver the hat and make sure you have it in the right position. I also got another question about my Designs by Juju, the cute little dino blanket that I made. Somebody asked if I use any interfacing or heat and bond for my applique pieces. I did not have anything on there. But I did use, for the embroidering for the face, I did use, what is it called? The water soluble stabilizer. There you go. So it's kind of, yeah, so I used water soluble stabilizer on top. So it's actually, let me go get that for you and I'll show you what it looks like, because I believe I do have a copy of that, or I believe I do have a roll of that. So this is what I use. So it is Solvay water soluble stabilizer. I honestly don't use it much because you only really use it for projects that have like towels, for example. The blanket that I use obviously had minky to it. So anything where you don't want your stitches to sink is where you would use the water soluble stabilizer, and I use it on top of my work. So yeah, that's what I used in that project. So if you're embroidering blankets, towels, minky, anything that's like the stitches can sink into, definitely use this water soluble stabilizer. I just get it from Joann's. That's where I get most of my embroidery supplies. So I got a question also about the candle embroidery thread for my Ricoma machine. So somebody asked, do they run on your Ricoma equally well? So Madeira versus candle runs exactly the same. I never have any issues with my candle thread. If you're new here, I mainly used to use Madeira thread, but now I'm transitioning to candle embroidery thread because they're significantly cheaper, and they ship pretty quick, although shipping is quite costly. If you're looking to purchase multiple cones from candle, I recommend that you do that because it kind of outweighs the cost. So the Madeira, at least the last time I checked, their thread was like $10.95 a cone, but candle is $5.95. I just actually ordered from them the other day, so that's kind of how I can tell the difference. Somebody asked the differences between the 1600E and the 1700E flatbed machine that I have. So the 1600E, the difference between it is that basically they don't make the 1600 anymore, and the 1700 is, you know, the newer version of it. Like I said in my video that I posted about my review, the only difference is that one has USB and the other can be over Wi-Fi. Honestly, in my experience, USB works best for me because unfortunately Wi-Fi is not always 100% reliable. So I always like to have, you know, the USB connection as, you know, something that I use because I could just plug it into my computer, save the design, plug it in a machine, and then I know it's good to go. I usually sometimes have issues with my Cricut with the Bluetooth, so that's kind of why I'm a bit like, when it comes to Bluetooth. But if you are able to get the 1600E for new or a used machine, I would probably do that rather than, you know, spending an extra $500 on the 1700. But if you're able to get the 1700, then definitely get it. But I don't have any experience with the 1700E, but my friend does actually have that machine and she really likes it. I also got a question about my work-life balance with my business. I definitely find it hard to juggle both sometimes. For example, recently, my students have enrolled in classes for the spring semester, so it's been very busy and I haven't had as much time to focus on my business. But, you know, I have been getting orders here and there, but it hasn't been super crazy. So, you know, I definitely struggle with having to balance because I really want to do great with my job. I also really want to grow my business as much as I can. And then I also really love myself, like doing self-care. Lately I've been binge watching Grey's Anatomy, so I've been lazy and binge watching Grey's Anatomy. So that's definitely something I want to work on the rest of this year and into the new year. So I can definitely understand, you know, if you guys do struggle with a full-time job and we're growing a business, I gotcha. I'm in the same boat as well. And then I also have YouTube. I have going to visit my family, my rambunctious little cats that are running all over the place right now. So luckily they're behaving for me so I can film this video. But yeah, life gets busy sometimes and unfortunately you got to put things on the back burner, but I'm ready to get back into the YouTube here. Another question about the Mighty Hoop, how do I determine the placement of the design? So I honestly usually so I have the hooping station for like logos and stuff like that I use to hoop, obviously, like polos and shirts and stuff like that. But otherwise, I usually put my designs in the center of my Mighty Hoop. And again, if it hits the Mighty Hoop, there is a feature on the Bracoma or whatever embroidery machine you have. There's got to be a feature that where you can like minimize your design rather than having to like go back into Embrilliance or whatever software you use to minimize it. Pretty much on every embroidery machine, there is a way that you can minimize your design so it can fit your hoop. So that's kind of what I recommend for that. And like I said, there are arrow keys that you can use too to kind of maneuver your design. But if you ever don't know where to place something, I would always like pick up your shirt and be like, okay, measure exactly where you want it, print out the pattern for that you're planning on stitching out and like pin it to your shirt or whatever you're doing. And then try to hoop your Mighty Hoop and then move the arrows on the machine to get it exactly in the center of that design that you're planning on stitching out. Another question is, how do I take care of the raw fabric when I'm sewing on the ruffles? So if you're new here, I mainly make children's clothing, so I make a lot of skirts. And anything that has a raw edge, I usually use my serger for. So it kind of like secures the fabric and prevents it from fraying, and it just makes it look overall nice and professional. When it comes to figuring out a shop name for Etsy, I've struggled with this for a while as well because, as you guys know, I have multiple Etsy shops and businesses and all this fun stuff. So I definitely, so I can definitely understand how difficult it is to choose a name, especially when so many names are already taken. I'm not very unique. I just put my name in some of my shops. I don't know, like Megan Louise Crafts. That's my first and middle name. Like, I'm not very original, so I would think of things that, you know, may have meaning to you. So like a person, a place, an object, you know, maybe your favorite memory with somebody, and kind of, you know, put maybe shop or boutique at the end of it, or something funny. So, for example, I opened a embroidery pattern shop. I have not posted anything in it though, because I don't have the time, but now I'm gonna find the time. So they're like embroidery patterns. So I was thinking of like Embroidery Me designs, but I'm actually did it too for Embroider Me patterns. So like embroider me, you know, I think it's funny. So that made my Etsy shop that. So I think it's some funny, quirky thing, something with meaning, something that somebody will be like, oh wow, that's a really cool shop name. I wonder what the story is behind that. So that's kind of what I recommend. So I do not have Chroma Lux for the MT1501. I don't know if it was an option for me or not, to be honest with you. But I usually use Embrilliance Essentials to edit my embroidery designs, because it works great for my single needle and then also my Ricoma. I just got to make sure that I add the like Ricoma's DST files. Brother is PS files, so I just got to make sure I have the right file type for each machine. So I also have a comment on my reviewing my Ricoma embroidery machine, because I did mention that I used Angies List. I honestly don't remember what I searched, but I think there was something about how you could like hire people or something, or what are you looking for. I know that one was like moving services, or, you know, putting up shelves or something like that. I think I did like helping with appliances, because obviously my Ricoma is an appliance. And then I put down that I wanted 2 people. And then after that, somebody from Angie's List called me, and I kind of explained my situation, and they got the right people out for me to help me. So if you're ever not sure exactly where to start, just send an inquiry, and then you will be able to talk to somebody online. It's not just like a whole or not online, on the phone, because it can be kind of hard to do it like chat and email and stuff. So actually being able to talk to somebody has been super helpful. Somebody asked me what I use to make my samples on. So I actually have a tutorial on how I make my kid shirts or any sort of embroidery sample. So I get some like knit interlocking fabric or something that really imitates like a shirt, and I cut it out 14 by 14 inches because I can fit any hoop that I have, and then I just stitch the sample on the fabric, as well as a piece of cutaway stabilizer, because I want it to imitate, you know, an actual shirt as much as it can be. So somebody asked if I outline with my embroidery machine. So I don't usually do it actually for my flatbed machine. That's because I know what size design I'm doing, versus the Ricoma, where I have my mighty hoops and I don't want anything to hit like the magnets or anything. So I always trace my designs on my Ricoma embroidery machine, just because I don't want to mess anything up. It was a very expensive machine, and I want to be as careful as I can with it. So any project that you do, unless you know for sure that you've traced that exact design before and that it fits, always trace. No matter how many kid shirts I get, you know, if there's any names or anything's a little bit different, I always trace my design. Even if I've done it a billion times, trace. So I got a question about bobbin thread coming on the top of my single needle, the Innovis. So I always go through a process where I'm like, okay, there's something wrong. When in doubt, change the needle, change your bobbin, open up the bobbin case, see if there's any nicks, rethread your machine, do all of those things, and your issue should be fixed. Sometimes, you know, you have to bring in your embroidery machine to be fixed. So I would probably look for local sewing centers that can fix your machine, and definitely get it serviced. My machine, over the summer, I got it serviced kind of when it was busy with back to school. I might even do that again in the beginning of the summer, so then when I go away, it'll be ready to go. So when in doubt, get your machine serviced. Mine did not cost thousands and thousands of dollars to get it fixed. Sometimes you might need a new needle plate. Maybe they'll have to situate the timing of the machine. There could be many things that could happen, but definitely bringing it in if those 4 steps don't work. So like I said, changing the needle, changing the bobbin, rethreading your machine, and opening up the bobbin case to see if you can clear things out. And then if you're still having issues, then bring it in to get it serviced. But YouTube is always your friend in case you're having any like issues with your machine. And sometimes you just have to walk away and say, you know what, this is frustrating me, I'll come back to it later. That's okay. Sometimes I have to like storm off from my machine and then I'm come back 5 minutes later because it's bothering the crap out of me and I have to fix it. So whatever you got to do, go and do it. So my last question I'll probably answer because you guys have a lot of questions and it's 25 minutes recorded here. Was it easy for me to bring my machine out to my craft fair last year? Honestly, it was not bad. So I have like an outdoor cart that I use to kind of bring my machines and stuff with me. So, which you can hold up to 200 pounds. So I just kind of put it in the cart and brought it with me. But yeah, it wasn't a huge deal. I have not done any craft shows this year just because work's been busy and, you know, just trying to focus on, you know, my health and fitness and stuff like that and my business. And of course, I have a kooky little kitten behind me too, so I gotta keep an eye on those little guys. So, but yes, so yeah, I haven't done any craft shows, but it is really great to have a single needle like that I can just bring it with me to when I go to the Jersey Shore. You know, I can just bring it with me wherever I need to. So I'm definitely always going to keep that machine, even if I have like 50 multi-needles, which would be absolutely insane. I don't even know how I can keep up with all those. But anyways, I will always have my single needle because it's a good old reliable. So yeah, I think those are all the questions I'm going to answer today. If you have any other questions, leave them down below. I'm happy to answer. And so are my little baby over there is playing probably with a toy or something. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. My next video will probably be a mishmash of different clips that I filmed over the summer and just over the months that I tried to record and then I just lost energy to continue recording. So yeah, look forward to that mishmash of working on various stuff. So thank you guys so much for joining. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. I'll definitely try to do some of these Q&A videos every once in a while. But yeah, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.